Thank you for attending here tonight. We've called a brief press conference to provide some updates before heading into our community vigil this evening. Again, thank you for the outpouring of support. Thank you for your thoughtful coverage. And we certainly thank everyone who's been following this tragedy, both here within our region, within our province, across the country, and certainly beyond our borders. We have a few items that we will be sharing. We have a few comments from Mayor Rob Mensch, as well as some additional comments from the president of the Humboldt Broncos organization, Kevin Geringer. He'll be speaking a little bit to the themes of the evening and what to expect as we move towards our community vigil tonight. That will start at 7 o'clock. We do know that we will have families and those who have been impacted very closely by this event, and ask that you maintain a respectful distance as people start arriving. Again, we ask that there is no media coverage in our crisis community setup that is across the hall at Jubilee Center. We also ask that there is no media on the ice surface other than those who are providing pooled coverage and below the stand surface. We continue to work on the logistics of the event, and further details will be made available once we have concrete details to share out at this time. Again, we know Prime Minister Justin Trudeau will be in attendance this evening. He will not be making any statements, and he will not be making himself available to the media. We also know Premier Scott Moe will be also in attendance this evening. He also will not be making any statements to the media, nor be making himself available for any interviews after the fact. Once we know the logistical details concerning emergency access and security, we will pass those details on and mobilize you and ensure that media has access as necessary. We will be opening the doors to the public at 6 p.m. Again, we are expecting hundreds of people in attendance this evening, and ask that you help ensure that we have an orderly and safe flow of individuals attending here to grieve and to pray and to help our community move on from this tragedy. I'd like to call Mayor Rob Mensch up to the stage for a few remarks as we move forward towards this evening's vigil. Thank you.
Firstly, I would just like to express my condolences to the families. Originally this was just a thing about, we had some people killed, and now it's turned into, personal. It's involved people and families, and as those names are coming out, it's getting harder and harder for the community and for the parents and for everybody else. So I'd just like to express our condolences from the city and from our city council to everybody that has been affected by this tragedy. I would also like to express our gratitude to all of the people across the country and around the world. I'm getting emails and phone calls and text messages from people that I don't even know who they are. I get a text message from somebody that has just a number there and an area code from I don't even know where, and it just says, "We're with you, we're behind you. Here's a poem that I wrote. Here's a song, here's a message." So I'd just like to say that we appreciate all that everybody's sending our way. This is something that has affected our community greatly, and I'd just like to again say thank you for everybody that's doing that. The other thing I would like to express thanks to is the people behind the scenes, Humboldt Broncos, their executive that's helping out with everything, and for our emergency services people, for our, here's my phone again, sorry. And for everybody that's been involved behind the scenes, preparing for tonight, for the vigil service. Tonight is going to be hard for our community. It's, I think, going to be the first time that the public is going to be with the family members at the rink here, and we're hoping that getting together is going to help to be one more step in this process. Excuse me, sorry. It'll be one more step in this process of healing and getting back, I guess, where the community was. But this is going to be a long haul for us. Just talking to other communities like Swift Current and who's gone through this in the 80s. When I talked to the mayor, he said, they're still suffering from that. It's still something that they're dealing with to this day. So we're going to need support in our community. We're going to need to be there for each other, and we're going to be, doing this for not just days, not just weeks, not months, but it could be longer. So we'll work with each other to get through this. So tonight will be a chance for us to take this one step further. It's going to be an event that's going to be for the community and for the team. We're not going to have a whole lot of speeches or anything like that. There's going to be clergy led for our community. They've stepped up to the plate, and they're going to be doing some hymns and prayers of scripture, and then I'm hoping that we're going to stay together afterwards and visit and talk and console those that need that. So that will take us through the day. So that's really all I have to say at this point. And thank you for cooperation.
Thank you. That was Mayor Rob Mensch. We have again Kevin Geringer, President of the Humboldt Broncos Hockey Club, who will be providing some remarks. We also want to remind and reiterate that we will be closing the upper concourse area of the arena at around 4 o'clock. That time may change again depending on other access and preparatory items that we need to do for this evening. Kevin will be able to take a few questions following his statement. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kevin Geringer, and I'm the president of the Humboldt Broncos Hockey Club. Just want to be able to provide a few updates that I think will help everyone in terms of some of the issues I know that are ongoing. And so I'll begin, first of all, by talking a little bit about the status of our players. First of all, the status of the players who are still in hospital, as well as our trainer. We are working with Saskatchewan Health to be able to provide updates relative to that status, and of course those would be timed updates that would say this is how things are going with each of our players and as I mentioned, of course, our trainer. So in that way, what our hope is, of course, is that we would be able to provide that update and allow our families the opportunity to be able to focus on their children who are in hospital, and also provide the media with the information that you need. Of course, no names will ever be provided, but certainly the fact does remain that we do want to be able to provide information to our media, and to our country. I was just talking about the fact that this isn't about Humboldt. It's not even about Saskatchewan. It's about Canada and our world, and so people are out there. They want to know what's happening with those who are still in hospital. People care, and our hope is that maybe we can provide just a little bit of a glimpse into what they're enduring and where we're at with respect to those who we're so blessed to have with us still today. I do want to share with you, as many of you are probably aware, that one of our athletes has been released from hospital, and so we're extremely blessed to be able to share that information. And we, as I said, as we know more information and we work through our FOIP concerns and those types of things, and of course work very closely with our families, we'll share more information that way. The second thing I wanted to share is that people have been asking a great deal about what can we do to help. We've been getting contacted by organizations across our country, across North America, and globally for that matter. And oftentimes they're saying, look, we have this resource, we can do these types of things, and we're very grateful for that. But one of the other sides of that is that right now I think the biggest thing that we can ask for is support through just the thoughts and or prayers that would be extended to our families and to all our billet families and our entire organization that way. That's really what is so necessary. We're really in a place where we've got such amazing supports, and I know that we have victim services here, and the Premier of this province has extended to us every resource that he has within his authority, which is basically the entire province. And so he's extended that to us, and so we have multiple people who are here to be able to deal with some of the challenges that we know that our families and our fans and our communities within Humboldt and beyond, they're here to be able to provide those levels of support. It's just unbelievable, and we're so grateful for their efforts and their work. The other thing is that we continue with our emergency response teams that we have, and we've got the RCMP and the fire department and the city, of course, and Saskatchewan Health again, all working so closely together to be able to orchestrate what we need to do moving forward. No one goes through these types of things. Nobody encounters this type of thing. And so it's amazing having people who are thinking about how we can address something in the immediate future, but also as we look down the road, there's also plans that are being made to be able to support our community, our folks in the distant future as well. We have had organizations, as I said, reaching out, and in particular other hockey organizations. And I know last night people saw major things happening across the NHL, Broncos on the backs of jerseys and stickers, and I mean that's tremendous. But I mean, as an example, today we got a call from a local one of our provincial organizations, and who talked about the fact that they weren't going to have their game played today because it was a playoff game, and they weren't going to play it because in honor of the Humboldt Broncos and the organization. And it was at that time we talked a little bit about what would it look like moving forward, and the fellow I was talking to, he made a statement, and I've heard the same thing from some of the folks as we were talking yesterday, and not really knowing what the future will be. One of the things that I think is critical is that as we move forward, in honor of our players and our entire organization, our families, our billet families, this entire community, we will be doing everything in our power to try and maintain the Humboldt Broncos. And with that, we have been receiving unbelievable support through funding that, of course, is going to be directed first and foremost to support the needs of our families and those who are no longer with us. We've got a great deal of support that's required that way, and we've been receiving that support. So I can't say enough about the folks who are in our province and in our country and across our world for just what they've done to support us. And so I do want everyone to know that when we're looking at numbers like 3.2 million, and that's the last time I've had a chance to go online to see what the GoFundMe page looks like, but when we're looking at those numbers, that type of figure is staggering to any of us. But at the same time, we will be ensuring that that process of how those dollars will go out, we're going to make sure that that's done first and foremost, respecting every one of the families and who have been part of this tragedy. And when I talk about the Humboldt Broncos family, I'm talking about this whole community, and I'm talking about our country now, for that matter. Humboldt Broncos are a major part of Canada, and they always have been a major part. And it's unfortunate that we are having to endure loss, but at the same time, we're extremely grateful for the support, because that support has led us to being able to engage our families and talk to our families and let them know that their whole country is behind them, and that's a wonderful thing. So at this time, I just want to once again acknowledge the many people who have been supporting this work, and of course want to also have the opportunity to take any questions that may be out there from our media sources.
Kevin, we're starting to hear the stories of people that were on that bus. Darcy Hogan, how much he meant to the team, how he developed these young men. Could you talk about your relationship with Darcy and how much he meant to you and to this whole?
Darcy Hogan was an incredible coach. He was an incredible husband, an incredible father, and he was an incredible GM. And we had many a conversation about what he believed in terms of this organization. And I'll tell you, these are his words, certainly not mine. He talked about the fact that the Humboldt Broncos were about not building hockey players, but creating amazing young men. And that's what we had in our organization, was amazing young men. And that was Darcy's belief. And through that process, they would ultimately become great hockey players too, which was also the case. So we had a very important and close relationship. And he's sadly missed by our entire organization. Okay. Thank you very much. Oh, sir.
I have one more question. Can you talk at all about any thoughts you've given toward that GoFundMe funding? Like, I mean, it really is a lot of money, and what would you guys use it for?
We've got, to be honest, we're still in process of thinking about that. But we know that first and foremost that will be used to support the needs of all the families, of all the victims, and all the everyone who has survived. So we recognize that that's an important aspect of what those funds need to be directed toward. I know that my vice president has a meeting this afternoon to address some of that work around how, begin the processes around that. But we plan to engage with professionals, who can help us with some of that as well. We do not plan to try and take that on ourselves. It is much too important to this organization, to the people who have donated. We want to make sure that we do exactly the right thing to be able to support the families, the victims, like I said, the staff, our Humboldt Bronco family. Thank you. Yes.
Kevin, when you talk about doing everything to maintain the Humboldt Broncos, I assume you're talking about long-term, like next year and beyond. I can't imagine there would be any scenario where you could continue anything this year, or...
Yeah, no. Yeah, there won't be anything continuing this year in terms of the Bronco. Obviously, what we're looking toward is next year, this next hockey season. So what will transpire from now until then is really what we're trying to focus on. What will that look like? But that is something that won't be considered until we get through supporting the needs of our families and that sort of thing. But I know these kids personally, and I can tell you right now that there isn't one of the Humboldt Broncos who wouldn't be saying there needs to be a Humboldt Broncos. And so in honoring them and their families, I think it's important that we do everything in our power to be looking toward that future. And but as I said, right now, our focus remains on them and supporting them the best way possible.
Just so we're clear, one player was released from hospital. Is that the first surviving member who was released from hospital, or are there others?
That's what we understand is one surviving member who has left the hospital.
In your comments, you mentioned going through a FOIA process.
Yes.
Is that what you need to do before there might be any release of any names to the organization?
Yes.
Okay, so you won't be releasing.
Other than those that many of us are aware of, it's been released in the media already. And again, not through the Humboldt Broncos organization, but through other means. And so the media is very aware. I mean, we know who it is that has not survived this ordeal, and yeah, so we're very aware of that. Questions? There was somebody. Yes.
Yeah, but can you just discuss the program that you haven't had a lot of time to put this together, but what you're going to do tonight? I know you wanted to reflect the community and what's important to them. Maybe just discuss the decisions that were made about why you're doing it the way you're doing it tonight.
I want to share that first of all, this is a community event that has been orchestrated by an interministerial organization, and they're going to be the ones who are really running this. We're, as a Humboldt Broncos organization, it's not really about us tonight. It's about supporting the families of the Humboldt Broncos. But what I'm saying is it's not orchestrated or run by us that way. We want to let the interministerial organization, they're the ones who are really prepared to do this effectively, and we'll be there in support of our families, and that's what we need to do, and we'll be there in that capacity. So, and of course, as mentioned, the doors, I believe, I'm not sure if it has been mentioned, but we plan to keep the doors closed until 6 p.m. tonight. That allows everything to get organized properly and that sort of thing, and address the needs that we have. I mean, we know that the Prime Minister is coming, so the city is dealing with that in the best way they can as well. Okay? Yes?
Just curious, I'm not sure who the best to answer this. I was hoping the RCMP would be here, but I should think, once again, the big question is how did such a tragedy happen? Have the RCMP been updating you or perhaps the mayor on what happened and where they're at in regard to the investigation?
I don't have a whole bunch of information except to say that there's an investigation. And it was mentioned yesterday that it would take a long time to work through that process to truly understand what happened. And that's what we understand at this point. I'm not sure if the mayor has anything else to add to that, but basically that's where we're at. So we don't really have any other information at this time.
Okay, when you talked about providing updates possibly on the players and your trainer that's in hospital, any way that we can learn about what the condition of the bus driver is?
The condition of the bus driver, I guess at this point, there's information that's been shared through the media. I'd leave it at that. That information is out there, and we want to respect the rights of the family, that sort of thing. The responsibility that we have that way is to ensure that we're protecting those rights.
How important is it for the team as well as the community to be able to gather tonight together for this?
Oh, that's a very good question. We know that the way that we're going to work through this is by leaning on each other and supporting each other. That's what we need to do. And when we come together, as we will tonight, it's an opportunity for players from the past to come together and support our entire Humboldt family that way, and really to lean on each other to support each other through this very challenging ordeal, obviously. And so that is really what the plan is tonight. People will have the opportunity to connect and get support and those kinds of things. And again, we know that Victim Services is here, and they're providing a great deal of support as well. So we want to continue to extend that invitation to anyone who needs that support, that we have professionals here to be able to make sure that we're able to meet the needs of folks in the best way we can. Right? Thank you very much.
Do you speak French?
No, I don't.
No.
Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. That was Kevin Geringer, the president of our Humboldt Broncos Hockey Club. We also need to make clear at this time that we will not be answering or releasing any further information about families that are impacted or players that are still recovering and dealing with the traumas that they faced or who are currently being hospitalized. We would direct any of those questions towards Media Relations RCMP, and I do have that number available if anyone would like to try to reach out into them. I also want to thank you again for coming here this evening. Our vigil tonight will start at 7 o'clock. Again, the upper concourse area will be closed before then. When we know more logistical details, we'll share them out at that time. The doors will be open to the community at 6 o'clock. Again, we're anticipating a huge outflow of support, and are very appreciative for everyone who feels the need to come and support us here in person this evening. We will be broadcasting from the arena, and we'll have overflow spaces available in our curling rink, as well as our high school and our local Humboldt Public School. Families and others attending from out of town are welcome to sit in vigil with us at any one of those locations. We will have volunteers, we will have firefighters, emergency response personnel helping to direct traffic and organize parking at those spaces as appropriate. For the flow of the evening as well, it will start at 7 o'clock. As mentioned, it's an interministerial team who will be paying tribute this evening to those that we've lost, as well as coming together in prayer for the families and those still affected. There'll be some music and a brief program. We anticipate it'll take about 45 minutes. And following that, media is welcome to stay. We will be working on the logistics to accommodate you best possible. And as well, we welcome anyone to stay within our community. We do have trained crisis counselors that have come to assist us through this period, and we have made space available here at our facility and as needed within the community. My name is Jennifer Brooks. I'm assisting with some of the media coordination. If you do have individual questions or requirements, I can assist you after that time. Thank you. This concludes our conference.